And this is Charlie. How are you?
Good.
So what grade are you?
Fantastic. Nice.
You can read that question.
What is the best thing about being a child?
What is it?
Sports that you get to play.
It's really fun and I get to hang out with my friends.
We get to have snacks.
Oh, yum.
You can make friends and you can have them for when you're older. Being able to have different things than older generations.
What was your childhood like?
I grew up on a farm, so we had lots of spaces to go outdoors and play.
It was a time of freedom, of space. There were no rules. We'd leave in the morning, we'd come home by dark.
My childhood was spectacular.
I think one of the best things about being a child is that you still really think laterally about the world, and you still have a kind of creativity inside you that is not as present later in your life.
But when I was at schooling age, things changed because I born and grew up in China. It's pretty much about study, homework. The whole life changed.
Okay. What is your vision of a good childhood?
You get to play, have 3 snacks a day.
And having friends is really good because then you can hang out and you don't have to be lonely all the time.
Having schools so we can go to them and learn, and so then when we're older we know things. It looks like having fun, people being nice to each other and sharing, and having different toys so that when you're bored of one you can have another one.
Being allowed to play outside, in the streets, lots of play with family and friends, and just being healthy, happy and free, really.
Yeah, I really like a good childhood is a mixture of freedom and safety, so that you have all the possibilities and opportunities to explore without really many of the risks.
I think that we do really need to consider that childhood is very diverse.
One that's filled with unconditional love, one which encourages curiosity, one that is safe, one that encourages a child to express their emotions and feel their emotions, and one that values and respects their voice.
I think that they should have access to a nurturing, loving home as well.
So I think a good childhood is really a safe childhood, absolutely ensuring that you're protected from harm, that you have shelter, you have food.
Having lots of friends and
a child free of fear, abandonment and violence.
The thing that I notice about a lot of young people I've worked with is, without good literacy skills and the ability to decode the world, you kind of struggle a bit.
like maybe like doing what you want to do and just having fun in life.
Yeah, okay. So what do you think a good childhood looks like in Australia?
Children in Australia need a community that respects and values them.
I think a good childhood in Australia looks...
And I also think that despite being called the lucky country, there's too many children in Australia that are missing out.
while we don't really have it nailed yet,
那么像安全的这种社区环境啊，优质的学校教育呀，以及丰富的这些社区活动、专业的儿童服务，包括对孩子身心健康的这个重视和关注，这些都是非常好的一些方面。
This country is heading in a direction where we value early childhood, and we are trying to do more and more to make the most of those first couple of years, because we know what it means for the rest of a child's life. So I think it's a good place to be a child, and if the things like the early years strategy out of government go well, if they go well, then maybe this could be one of the best places to be a child and to raise a child.
I think that Australia provides the ability for children to explore more than anywhere else that I've travelled.
With the very diverse community that we are having, our child can learn about different peoples in the world, different culture backgrounds, different languages.
And exploring is so important for the way that we develop our intelligence and the way that we develop our sense of self.
And also through this diverse community, we can learn how we interact with other peoples, to learn to respect others.
I was actually at the beach 2 days ago, and there was 3 little kids. They would have been about, I don't know, 3 or 4. And when I turned to my left, just up the beach, there were their parents, just absolutely watching everything they were doing, both from watching them play and have fun, etc., and also, you know, making sure they're safe. In a sense, I went, that is a really good childhood in Australia.
Next one. What does a child need for a good childhood?
Oh, this is a huge one because I'm a parent of 2 children, and my husband and I think about this all the time because we want to raise children that have a good childhood, but it's so hard to do and it's so hard to get it right.
Play, snacks, water and a big yard.
Some friends and mini worlds to act things out, and puppet shows. And food and water.
Children need to have challenges, to be challenged.
Opportunity to take risks.
They should have no fear of being belittled or criticised.
Maybe from a child's perspective, what a child needs to have a really positive childhood is probably good connections.
They should have consistency in a positive way from either a parent or caregiver.
最后我觉得一个大环境就是一个社会的一个引导，或者说是一个媒体的引导。这个媒体倡导什么样的价值观，其实是会影响到这个小孩自己的价值观的。
They should also have no fear that they're going to be hurt mentally or physically. And
we think building the community around our children is the most important thing that we can do for them.
An opportunity for a child to explore and to learn.
I think it's entirely necessary to think about the baseline and what is the minimal standard that we should hope for all children, to understand how the necessary components should be a goal for us all, for all children, not just some children.
What do you think why do you think a good childhood is important?
So that we can learn and so that we can grow and have fun.
Children need a really good childhood so that they can go through life with good mental health, feeling happy and confident as they move through.
Children that are exposed to violence and trauma, their life trajectory changes significantly. They carry that right through to adulthood. It impacts not only themselves in terms of poorer health outcomes, It also impacts those around them, including, you know, taking those experiences into relationships, into family environments, into community as well.
It affects the person later down the track as well, in ways of either building trust issues or building trust in other people.
It's foundational. If you have in your early childhood those foundational things that help with your brain development, your physical development, your emotional development, your social development, if you have those things in place earlier on, you really are building a scaffold or a foundation for everything later on.
Who should decide what counts as a good childhood?
The kids.
The kids.
And why is that?
So that they can have a bit more fun.
Yeah.
And not be bossed around.
Definitely children. I think that all adults obviously have lived experience, but I don't think we can assume that we know it all, particularly today and particularly in this digital era.
I'd like to say parents, but I don't think that in all ways all children have good parents. And so children get to decide if they've had a good childhood.
What makes for a positive childhood and what counts for positive experiences for kids is a shared responsibility. It starts with those around the child because they will know that child best.
And sadly, there's a lot of reasons why children will never get to ask themselves that question because they're just surviving.
Who should decide? Well, the person that should decide on what counts as a good childhood is the child.
我觉得小孩子在这个问题上是会起一些主导作用的。作为家长也好，教育工作者也好，我们要去尊重小孩子天生的一些优势，先天上的一些对某些事物表现出来的特定的兴趣和爱好。但同时，我觉得作为家长和教育工作者都要进行一个正确的引导。
But at the time, I don't think it's very easy for the child to make that decision about whether they're having a good childhood while they're in it. But I think that getting the opinions of children as we go, just to do a check-in, I think that's really important for deciding if we're on the right track.
Who should decide what counts as a good childhood? That's a really interesting question.
Everybody who is in any way attached to that person has a role.
As a community, particularly in child protection sense, you know, we set bars or thresholds of what we see as risk or neglect. At the worst offend of crossing those thresholds in a serious way is we will take your children away from you. Yeah. So, in one sense, the state is deciding what counts as a safe, good child, and you know, there's something close to 50,000 young people in out-of-home care in this country. I think as a state, in the large sense of the word, we can do much better. My aspiration would be, and my hope would be as public policy, that children that come into the care of the state thrive.
I think you should, or like your parents should decide if you had a good one.
Hold on, wait till Aubrey.
My eye's itchy.
What would a good digital future look like for children today?
This is a very hard question to answer.
Maybe there'll be different technology.
Because you don't know what the future will look like.
If everyone has iPads and computers and digital things, then they can learn more. But if they didn't have them, they wouldn't be able to learn. And maybe there'll be phones that can grow bigger, like they're folded up and then they can unfold.
So I think access to people that can teach them about the positive things about technology, such as how to be creative and how to use educational sources to help them learn.
I think for children that experience marginalisation, that means the absence of things like racism and discrimination.
So a good digital future is a future where that particular technology, the tech we call digital tech has become part of the fabric that makes for a really positive childhood right into adulthood. And so in that future, we've held on to risk conversations, and we've held on to protection and safety, which are big topics right now, but we've also embraced the rest of the fabric, which is opportunity and what seems like limitless potential to create a positive relationship with technology.
孩子既能够自由地遨游在这个数字的世界里，同时呢，他也能不被这个数字世界所控制和捆绑。
Oh, that's it.
I hope that was okay.
That's it. Can I say thank you very much, sir? Oh, and you are a champion.
Can I have another 20 minutes so I don't have to go back and read reports?